Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of the Absolute Women's Football show. There's so many things going on in my head. I'm like, where are we? Who are we? Who am I introducing? But this is a very special episode, as I said, because we are reviewing the 24-25 Women's Super League season, and we've just been making notes, and there's so much to talk about, and we can't wait. But of course, I can never do this by myself. I've got two wonderful people to join me this evening. Chloe, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Got us Rep Villa while we're doing this. And Paul, how are you?
I'm good. Arsenal fans, you are in for a treat from me this evening in a nice way. If you ever wanted to see me eat humble pie, I have a full plate of it this evening about your
Here
team.
is your moment.
Here is your moment.
And if you watch the pod regularly, you will know just how much of an admission that is. So do keep watching. Now, what we're going to be doing this evening, we've got stats, we've got our standout players, standout moments, and we're going to be talking you through every single team in the WSL and kind of what this season has meant to us. So let's get to it then. We'll be going through an alphabetical order. This is not in league position. So coming first has to be the Arsenal, and what a season they had. Now, yes, we can talk about their Champions League win, which was phenomenal. Most of them are still recovering from those celebrations, but their league season was just such a roller coaster, wasn't it? So, of course, they started. We can see their manager Renee Slegers, but they started with Jonas Eidevall, of course, which does not seem like it was this season. It seems like so far away. Because, Paul, if we look at those stats there, you know, they've got 8 home wins, 7 away wins, hardly any losses, an incredible amount of goals. But at the beginning of the season, it didn't look that convincing, did it, for Arsenal?
It really wasn't. September and October was the time, and you kind of have to give credit to the Arsenal board and Jonas Eidevall for realising that it isn't working and stepping away. Yeah. Because if anything in the WSL, we've seen it go the other way, where managers have kind of stayed on too long, and then eventually, mentioning no names, but managers who are under pressure, who are either achieving results despite their efforts or whatever else. And for Eidevall to turn around under tremendous pressure, because we forget how, there was graffiti and all sorts.
It was bad, wasn't it? It was really intense. Yeah.
I think it was the first time in women's football we've properly seen a manager, really get under that level of pressure.
Yeah.
Because we talk about Mark Skinner 3 minutes in. There you go. And the pressure that he gets from Man United, but it was like the Eidevall one all just came to a head, wasn't it? It was proper.
Yeah, it was almost as if people couldn't take any more. Opening day of the season, it was Arsenal 2, City 2. It was 1-0 against Leicester, 0-0 against Everton. And Chloe, we were kind of saying earlier, weren't we? No, all of these standout moments. But actually, at the start of the season, they were for the wrong reasons, because you, as an Everton fan, what did that 0-0 against Arsenal in the Emirates do for you? How did that make you feel?
I mean, I felt great about it, because the Emirates or even Boreham Wood, where Arsenal have played previously, you always dread going there because, the Arsenal fans are so vocal, they're so loud, and it's obviously their territory. So going away from home is always tough, even more so when it's Arsenal and you barely ever win against, that type of big team. So being able to hold them to a draw at the Emirates, it was incredible as a fan, but it was more incredible for Everton as well, because we don't do that type of thing. We do it at home, like last season when we got that last minute equaliser. Lizzie Hobson,
yes.
But we don't do that away. And the type of atmosphere the Emirates actually is, with how many fans they can get in there with the atmosphere, and it was amazing. And it was just that type of thing going, oh my God, like if we can beat Arsenal, then we can beat anyone.
Yeah, if we can take points over those top teams, because that was Everton's first point of the season
Yeah.
against Arsenal at the Emirates. And, we keep looking. Then Arsenal got beat 2-1 by Chelsea. And you just thought, something's not right here. Nothing against those teams at all, but it should have been a win against Everton. Like you mentioned, it should have been more than 1-0 against Leicester. And yes, it can't all be on Arsenal. It's, the talent in the other teams as well. But it certainly wasn't where everyone were expecting Arsenal to be. So, of course, October comes and Slegers takes on the job as interim manager, and things start to change. Because from then onwards, Paul, we've seen interim managers, we've seen kind of people step in and then it not really work. So there was a lot of pressure on Renee here to get it right, wasn't there?
Yeah, and she just, whatever she did, it freed the team.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the season, regular viewers of the pod will know that I will never miss an opportunity to analyse Leslie Russo, and I usually tend to do so fairly harshly. And at the beginning of the season, I was being given all that fodder to do so because whether it was her not feeling right, whether it was Jonas Eidevall not using her right, whether it was the atmosphere around the team, she wasn't playing. And it was kind of, okay, let's see, is this the real you? And then Slakers comes in, and she was almost emblematic of the transformation of Arsenal as a whole, because she was like a completely different player in a positive way. And, she kept playing and finding the back of the net, whatever else. And I'm sat there going, yeah, okay. She's having a heck of a season here. She's finally showing the player that Arsenal fans have been telling us she is for ages, and the media have been telling us she is for ages.
Yeah.
And the rest of the team as well. And you kind of sat there going, okay, so what was going on then? Why
what was stopping that creativity? Yeah, because if we put this graphic back up, who is top goal scorer for Arsenal? It is, of course, Alessia Russo. And again, just couldn't get off the mark for whatever reason, and then kind of unleashed. And you're right, we saw the player that she could be, and the team just looked completely rejuvenated and re-energized. And you've got fantastic characters in that team. You've got your Kim Littles, you've got your Leah Williamsons, you've got your Katie McCabe's, you've got all of these characters in that squad, and it just felt like finally they could play with that freedom and that enjoyment. Because someone who, Chloe, you feel hasn't got maybe enough applause this season is, of course, Caitlin Ford. Now, she hasn't been in any of the teams of the seasons. She also didn't make ours either, but that wasn't your decision.
Borderline offensive.
So, Chloe, tell us about what is it about Caitlin Ford that's made her stand out to you? Because again, at the beginning of the season, there was a block on the team, but this second half, take it away. Tell us all about her.
I don't know what it is, but the second half of the season in particular, she's just been fantastic. Like, she's got 13 goals and assists to her name just in the second half, which is more than she got the entirety of last season. She's been, she's just incredible. Like, I just don't think she gets recognition because she can play she plays like left wing, but then she can play in the middle, she can play center, she can play anywhere. And having a player like that who is so versatile and can play down any strip of the pitch is quite good. And I feel like she wasn't used to her full potential under Jonas Eidevall, but Renee really seems to know where she goes, and that's on that left, and she's just been incredible. Like, that goal she scored in the semi-final against Lyon in the Champions League.
Yeah, you need players like that turn up in these big moments, don't you? And because Paul, you were saying actually they scored the most goals in the league by the end, more than Chelsea.
And more importantly as well, their goal difference was better. Their goal, it was part of, they kind of booked the trend. Sorry, I'll get this out eventually. They kind of booked the trend because and this is nerdy stats, the goal difference, as an example of how the league changed, Arsenal's goal difference last season would have been best in the league this season. So, and Leslie Russo was one of the WSL top scorers with 12 goals.
Yeah.
That would have been good enough for only fourth place last season. So the goals weren't going in.
Wow.
For teams in general, Chelsea got 25%
across the
goals.
board. Yeah, it felt like teams had really good transfer windows and started to really. Yes, we had some huge score lines, which we will talk about during the show. But you're right; it was a struggle for a lot of teams, wasn't it? We saw so many 0-0s or 1-0s, and it just compared to last season, like you said, it was such a different story, and. If we're talking about kind of their league form was such a dramatic change, and the noise was getting louder. They were getting incredible attendances at the Emirates, and Champions League run. They did that against Lyon. They came back in the second leg of the semi-final, and then they went to Villa Park, and incredible things happened where Villa actually won. Villa won for the first time ever against Arsenal. And people almost kind of went, how are you in a Champions League final? And then that happens with Villa. But we've also got to remember, Villa were gaining momentum at that point. And we'll talk about when we talk about Villa, but they were gaining momentum and Arsenal had just come off the back of that Lyon victory. So mentally, physically, everything. They were in a bit of a, in a tight spot, really, because you can't play your best at Champions League level and in league as well, unless you've got a lot of rotation going on. But Paul, they then went and lost against Brighton as well, didn't they? So, and there was then concern about going into the final. So was it, how do I put this? That little blip there in the league, ultimately, did it really affect their overall performance, or were they right to think, well, actually, we're not going to win the WSL title. Why don't we direct some of that towards Champions League in the final? What do you think?
I think it worked out great for them. And I think at the time everyone was like, oh God, but maybe, like you say, Renee Slager's behind closed doors was saying, right, these are games we've got to get through. Let's just keep healthy.
Yeah.
Keep a decent level of performance, but results are not important in these two games because we're getting through to the big one. And we're saving our performance, and we're not concerned about league performances because we're saving it for the big one. And they did, because Barca looked tired.
Yeah, Barca did not look like Barcelona. No.
Just to say that about Barca is huge. Arsenal looked a lot fresher, and you have to wonder if that's because, like you say, they weren't going full out in the last couple of league games. They were playing at maybe 70%, and then went back up about 3 gears for the Champions League final, and were just ridiculously impressive. This hurt, just so I know, this is bringing me out in hives, having to say this.
Being so nice against Arsenal.
I hope Ryan and the other Arsenal fans in the chat are appreciating this.
They will clip this up and love it forever.
They will.
As evidence.
But yeah, it's Renee Slager's got them peaking at the perfect time.
Yes.
Because realistically, like you say, they'd lost the league in October. There was already talk in the media of Arsenal have thrown away their title challenge, realistically, barring a miracle in October.
Which is ridiculous, isn't it, in the grand scheme of things? A couple of weeks in and already gone.
But the way the WSL works, like we say, with, you lose one. Chelsea are so good. The standard is so high, and Chelsea's standard has been so high the past 6 years.
Yeah.
We're now at the point where it's accepted wisdom. You lose 2 games and you're out the title race.
Yeah. And Arsenal lost 4. That's it. Lost
Yeah.
4 games all season, and that was enough to put them second. But yeah, if you compare that to any other league, that's mad, isn't it? So yeah, there was a 12-point difference between them and Chelsea in first place.
And the turning point, like you say, they'll look back on it now and say the turning point was that week in October, the 0-0 with the 0-0 with Everton, then losing to Bayern, then losing to Chelsea.
Yeah,
because that forced Eidevall out the door.
And that was the start of Arsenal.
In an alternate history, if they beat Everton and get a draw against Chelsea, does Eidevall go?
Well, that was a very, very good question. Yeah. And for people watching this later on, we are pre-recording this, of course, but this is when this is due to premiere live. Make sure you get your comments in the chat. We are going to be keeping up with you. So yeah, so this season, Arsenal fans, let us know what you think. Because if we just put this graphic back up again, we've got some incredible names in that lineup. We've already talked about Caitlin Ford, we've mentioned McCabe. Kim Little, of course, has had an incredible season. Russo, of course, top goal scorer. Van Domselaar has completely changed in goal. When she was at Villa, she did all right. Nothing incredibly special, but she seems to have come alive in this Arsenal side, and it just shows you, doesn't it? You might be a really good player, but if you're in the wrong squad and you're not getting the best out of you, then you can maybe lose a bit of that specialness about you. But one player we haven't mentioned, Paul, that I know you really want to talk about, Mariona Caldente. And what a change she has brought into this squad. Take it away.
Well, this is another one where I have to hold my hands up a bit because I was...
Popcorn ready again, everyone.
I was unconvinced that she'd replace Miedemar, and I was one of those letting Miedemar go was a really bad idea. And Caldente is good, but there will be a platoon down the right-hand side with her and Caitlin Ford or Beth Mead, and it's yet another winger. And then she went and did what she did. And it tastes nice, that humble pie. Like...
I know we should have ended with this, really, shouldn't we? No.
made everybody wait for it.
Yeah.
No, we'll get the fun out of the way. But yeah, she's incredible because she just has ice in her veins with crucial penalties as well and things like that.
Mm.
She just you can tell she's a World Cup winner.
Yes. Yeah, the composure of her finishes and just the way she moves on the pitch, just that's got to be an inspiration in training, hasn't it? Just having someone like that in your squad. Because was it Chloe Kelly in the press conference today, the Lionesses one, and she talks about what Mariona's like to actually play with and then play against, and just how incredible of an opportunity that it is to do that. And you just think that is the biggest compliment from your teammates, for them to hate playing against you because you're so hard to beat. But yeah, what a season. And of course, just to confirm, Arsenal did finish second, and of course went on to win Champions League. So they are guaranteed a place in the league phase of the competition next season. And onwards and upwards from here. Do we think, if they stay on this trajectory, that they can really challenge Chelsea next season for the title?
Yeah.
If they keep on? That was a yes straight away.
If they keep on playing like they have done the second half, 100%.
Yeah. Paul, what do you think?
They'll have a stronger squad next season because Victoria Pelova will be back, who has been, some would say, a big miss this season.
Yeah.
And it'll mean players like Kim Little can have a bit more of a rest and be fresher.
Yes.
I do wonder what's going to happen with Rosa Kafaji over the summer.
That's been a strange one, hasn't it? Because she's been available, but then she's been in and amongst the team, but never really seemed to get picked.
Yeah,
so,
she might be on her way out during the summer. I think we'll see a lot more of Kyra Cooney-Cross next season.
I hope so.
I hope so. I really do. Yeah, so again, transfer window opens. There hasn't been a set date anywhere, by the way.
18th of June.
18th. So
I read.
18th, I've seen one source say the 18th. I think I saw someone else say the 8th. So, but I think that's like ESPN. Yeah. So, watch this space for the transfer window.
I think Arsenal traditionally do their business fairly late, don't they?
Yeah.
In the window.
Keep everyone guessing. Keep those rooms.
I think with the Euros this summer, there'll be a bunch of teams who'll be keeping their cards close to their chest and perhaps seeing who breaks out at the Euros or seeing who gets injured at the Euros or seeing...
Well, that's another thing, yeah. Definitely. Because, Daphne van Domselaar came over to Villa after the Euros, and look where she is now. And yeah, you just think there's such an opportunity for that, undiscovered in the wider sense of players to just really come to the fore, show what they can do, and be given an opportunity. And who knows?
I do wonder if this summer as well, Arsenal owners will finally do what their fans have been screaming out for and really throw some money at it. Because Chelsea have thrown the gauntlet down now.
Yeah. They've said if we want the players, we're going to go out and get them, regardless of the price. Yeah.
And Arsenal have got a Champions League to defend as well, which, is going to be a huge pull factor.
Exactly, yeah. So the players now wanting to play Champions League football, Arsenal is going to be even more of a lucrative offer indeed. Yes, absolutely. So Arsenal completely turned it around, and what an end to the season for them to win the Champions League. Now, coming on to second, Aston Villa finished sixth, dancing with relegation all season, and then what a way to end it now. Compared to Arsenal, the stats don't look as good. However, you know what? Take every goal, take every win, take every point. Top scorer was Rachel Daly with 8 goals. Natalia Arroyo coming in to save the day, and just the incredible players that we've got. Now we started out again in another managerial change. Carla Ward had left, of course. Robert DePau comes in, and he was saying all the right things, and initially it seemed really, really good. Then we heard reports of actually this is going on behind the scenes, and Adriana Leon wasn't getting played, Kenza wasn't getting played, didn't see Maz Pacheco being played, and you thought, what is going on with this squad? And was it a case of, well, the manager's brought in his signings, so he's going to play them first regardless? Had the statement signing of Gabby Nunes, of course, a player who we haven't really mentioned this season on any of the pods, have we? For this statement signing from Villa, broke their transfer record, and yeah, it all started off pretty grim, to be honest. So let's have a look, shall we? So, it was 1-0 to Chelsea on the opening day, and we thought that's not bad. That 1-0 to Chelsea, and then it just kind of went from bad to worse. So it was 1-0. And then a draw with Spurs, and you thought, right, okay, getting points on the board. Then it was a 4-2 defeat against Brighton, 2 red cards, not going great. And then it was just loss. I take it back, 0-0 against Leicester. Then it was 2-1 City. Then it was 2-1 to Liverpool. And you just think, when is this going to give? Got a surprise point against United. I will say that one. No one was expecting that. And Manchester United fans watching this will remember they were furious that they didn't win that game. Because we deserved a draw in the first half, but then the second half was shocking. And then finally got a first win in November. And I've said it on the pod quite a few times before. We said, look, if we've still got 9 points in February, we're in trouble. And I think we had 10. And we're like, oh God, something needs to change. So Robert DePau, whether he walked or got the sack, it's still a bit of a blurred line. And then, of course, Sean Gorter, legendary Sean Gorter, steps in as interim. And we did okay, picked up a couple more points. And then finally, In the January transfer window / February, Natalia Arroyo comes in, and what a difference she made to that second half of the season. Yes, a couple of games didn't go our way while she was still trying to figure things out. But we've talked, haven't we, WSL, time flies so quickly. You haven't got the games to try and piece things together if you haven't had a preseason. But the standout moment for me was how Villa ended the season, considering it was, Villa and Crystal Palace all the way through. To win, definitely to win the season, to end the season with 5 wins straight against Arsenal and against Brighton. And you think all of these things are just coming together. And this is the Villa, a bit like Arsenal, change of manager, change of energy, and just completely free to play the football that we knew they were capable of. And it was just, as a fan, to go through those turbulent times and to see some hope at the end of it, to see this light at the end of the tunnel, was absolutely incredible. Chastity Grant, I think, has been my standout player. I've talked about her quite a bit, and just her speed, her power, her intelligence on the ball has just been absolutely incredible. But I could sit here and wax lyrical all day. But yeah, Chloe or Paul, whoever wants to jump in, when Villa were right at the bottom, kind of, did you expect that from an outsider point of view? And did you think there was actually any danger of them going down? Because it was incredibly tight. Anyone got thoughts? No?
I was waiting for Chloe. I was like,
No.
go on.
Yeah, go on then, if you got anything.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I did have a little bit of fear at one point that it was going to be Villa going down, because it was very head to tail with Crystal Palace about who, because 1 week would be Palace, 1 week would be Villa, and then the next week would be Villa again. And it was very uncertain, but yeah, came out on top. And hopefully next season you're going to come second when we win the league. Gotta get that in there. It'll be us,
say,
Villa.
Place your bets now. Everton win, Villa second.
It's 100% not happening, but I like to live in the land of Delulu, so.
Oh, 100%. It keeps things fun, keeps things fresh, doesn't it? And Paul, how about you from an outsider perspective? What did Villa's what impression did Villa make on you this season?
They kept losing games narrowly, and that was they did their best. They did their best to make the relegation fight interesting, and it was very weird. It was one of those like, okay, Villa have to pick it up and find the rhythm soon, and they just didn't until the last game of the season. Then,
yeah, like, where are they going to get these points from that they need?
And then it all seemed to click. And then obviously the five goals versus Arsenal.
Yeah.
You're just like, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought at all that could ever be a possibility? Because I talked a lot, didn't I? I was like, we're playing well, but the results just aren't going our way. And of course, you don't get, consolation points for trying, do you? Which I think you should, by the way. I think, you should get bonus points, as we talked about before. But yeah, the fact that, it was 3-2 against West Ham, it was 3-1 against Brighton, 5-2 against Arsenal, and you just think, where's this team come from? Where have they been? And it just shows you when you've got a manager who believes in you and plays players in the right positions and knows how to get the best from them. Because of course Kirsty Hansen wasn't scoring, which was absolutely mad. And, we weren't really seeing her starting. And that's, some of the reason why, we lost Dree, we lost Kenza in the January window. And they also didn't sign anyone in that window because there wasn't a manager. And everything that went wrong could have possibly gone wrong. So to finish 6th when 11th looked like our home for the season was just absolutely incredible. But I do want to just say, going from 11th to 6th in those just couple of matches shows just how tight it is from 5th down. Because we kept saying, didn't we, during the season, we probably know who's going to be top 3, but 4 and below could literally be anyone. And looking at, the final table, you had Chelsea on 60, you had Palace on 10. And then it was Spurs and Leicester City on 20, West Ham 23, Everton 24, Liverpool and Villa 25, Brighton 28, City 43. So it's so congested in that middle area. And as Paul kind of said about Arsenal need to put some more money into the team, so does everyone else. But yeah, if we have a look, these teams, by the way, if people watching, these were kind of the most used starting 11 that we had this season. And, we've got players like Jordan Nobbs that are leaving. Rachel Corsie, Captain Rachel Corsie, has announced she is retiring as well. Lost a leader there on the pitch. Maz is leaving, and regular viewers of the pod will know that some Villa fans started a petition to get her to stay because that's how much she meant to the club. But we have had notification that Sarah Malin and Rachel Daly have signed new contracts, new 2-year contracts, which is great, tying them down. And we just need to keep our core. I mean, Anna Patton's been incredible. Lucy Parker, when she's been fit. Jill Byings, she came to us on loan from Bayern Munich. And I really hope that there's a deal to be made there. They've said their thank yous. They've said thank you for your service. But I really hope she does come back because, Byings in midfield has been incredible as well. And of course, Grant out there on the wings. I'd like to see Gabby Nunes do a bit more next season. But yeah, she didn't really settle. And the minutes she was on the pitch, just didn't quite make the impression I think everyone hoped that she would. So yeah, from me, particularly coming from a Villa perspective, finishing 6th, just well done. Well done, Villa, because no one pictured that at all. So really, really, really proud. And what a great position to kick on as well over the summer. Right then, we're going to come to Brighton. And we could say Brighton best of the rest, really, can't we? So they finished in 5th, just one place above Villa. But they had a new manager as well. They had Dario Vidicic, Nikita Paris and Frank Kirby being top goal scorers with 7 each. And they had a bit of a bizarre season, didn't they? Paul, I'll come to you first. They started incredibly well and then just kind of steadily dropped away, didn't they? So yeah, how did you view Brighton's season?
Well, Kiko Seiki hat-trick on the opening day, announced herself to the WSL and then didn't do much else. She did. That's unfair to her, but we'll take that bit back. From there it was always downhill, and it was almost as if they shot their bolt really early and then went, oh, okay, we can't keep this level up all season.
Yeah, that stamina to keep.
And now over the summer, they've already lost Paulina Bremer, who's said farewell.
No, to that one, yeah.
Michelle Aguirre is obviously back at Arsenal, and you would hope that Arsenal will be thinking very, very carefully over how they use her next season, whether she gets loaned out again for a full season as starting, or she gets given the chance to fight for a place.
Do you reckon if she gets loaned out again, she'd be more willing to make it permanent if she can't see a long-term future with Arsenal? Do you think?
I think she needs to go on loan again because I think she'll go backwards at Arsenal, and that's not any disrespect to Arsenal. It's just there's a logjam for her.
It's a lot
in
of
her position.
places, yeah. Yeah, I get
Whereas if she goes to somewhere like Villa, perhaps, or she goes to Everton, or she goes back to Brighton, You know,
But that's that reaction there that everyone going, oh, would love to have her. Like that shows that player kind of transcends the club she currently belongs to. And just what a standout player she's
she also
been.
took 90 seconds to score her first goal for England. So, you know,
Exactly.
first
What
senior
more-
goal for England. So,
What more could you want?
And it took Kira Walsh 81 tries. It took her 90 seconds of her first cap and Kira 81 caps.
35 minutes for the first Kira mention. There we go.
I'm
It
now
was
being an
3
incredible.
minutes for Mark Skinner, 35 for Kira Walsh.
I mean, to be fair, it only meant that it took Michelle Aguilar, if I work this out properly, internationally. I'm being very, very nerdy here. Here we go. National team. Number of minutes Kira Walsh has played now for the national team for England. 5,296. Now, if you take away 180 of those, let's take 200 of those away for rough things. It meant Michelle Aguilar took 5,025 minutes and 30 seconds less of game action to score her first goal for England.
Oh, Kira.
But hey, she got there. She got there in the end. Perseverance pays off. Perseverance pays off, everyone.
Which, believe it or not, is 88 hours less.
And now she's one and done, probably.
Yeah.
Kira Walsh has played over her career for 4 days solid before scoring for England.
Oh, Kira.
Whereas Michelle Aguilar turned up 30 seconds and buggered off again.
It's so funny.
And what an impression to make. But yeah, Michelle Aguilar this season has just been absolutely incredible, hasn't she? And you know, her strength, I keep saying about all these players, but like intelligence and just their ability and quality of finishing is just absolutely mind-boggling. And again, so she needs a team where she is leading that line, she is getting those minutes because she deserves it, doesn't she? Such a quality player and so young as well. So
speaking of players who've had a renaissance, Frank Kirby.
Yes, let's take him for Frank Kirby coming back. Yeah,
the other Chloe, because she'd have our guts for garters if we didn't mention Frank Kirby's performance.
she would.
Yeah, she left Chelsea, and everyone kind of went, "Oh, why is Frank Kirby leaving Chelsea? Is she over the hill? Is she washed, as the kids say?" No, she's really not.
No.
And I think London City will be sniffing around Frank Kirby.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I think they do it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise us at any point now. But yeah, they're the kind of players that they're going to be looking for, that quality, that experience. And you know, if they do you reckon should go, they pay the right price.
It sounds bad, but I hope Frank Kirby has too much integrity for that. In the sense that she's not she's not a player easily seduced by money, because obviously with her life and the challenges she's faced and her resilience and all that sort of thing, she needs to feel at home.
Yes.
And Brighton have clearly given her that.
It very much feels like it, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I see that. However, you know, Brighton have had this myriad of players and they're saying goodbye to, you know, 5 players that are being key to them. You got Tholizoti's leaving, Guro Bergsvan's leaving. We've also got Poppy Patterson's off. Oh, this is really testing my memory now. There's 3.
Guro Bergsvan played every minute for them last season. She was one of 5 players in the league and one of only 2 outfield. No, she didn't play every minute. She played slightly less than every minute. But she was the player who played the most minutes without playing every single minute, if that makes sense, in the WSL.
Yes, kind of best of the rest. Yeah. And you mentioned Paulina Bremer's leaving, and we've got Diana Stevanovic as well. So some really, really big players there. And Villamala's gone back to Barcelona as well. Her loan's ended. And you just think Brighton have got an opportunity here to really seize some really good quality talent to help make up that gap. Madison Haley has signed a new contract, length undisclosed. I can't give you more information there. But yeah, so they need that next step, don't they? Of where to go. Because Paul, you were saying they've actually scored less goals this season, weren't you? Than previously.
They have, and indeed across the league there is a trend where teams have scored less goals and defense is more important. There is something like 15% less goals across the league this season.
Wow.
And that's even allowing for, the big wins of your Chelsea's and Arsenal going on that ridiculous run where they scored four or more goals at home in 5 or 6 consecutive home games or something.
Yeah, I mean, what a stat. Again, it's for Arsenal to have that record as well just shows what kind of win and run they were on. Absolutely. But we've hardly touched upon one of the other top goal scorers, Nikita Paris. Of course, we said her and Kirby are joint with 7 goals. Now Nikita Paris moving from United. People really thought, right, is she gonna kick on? Is she gonna do it? And she was a constant goal threat, wasn't she? Chloe, have you got any other thoughts about Brighton or Nikita Paris that we haven't mentioned so far? I'll just leave that up there for anyone else who takes your fancy that we haven't talked about yet.
To be honest, I rate Poppy Patterson quite highly. I mean, I thought she was really good when she was with us, and I'm just questioning where she's going to go. Like, I'm quite curious as to who's going to sign her, but also on Nikita Paris, like, she's been incredible. Like, she can tell she's really wanting to get back in that Lioness squad, and she's wanting to get to the Euros. And if she keeps playing like this, then she might do it. Like, she might just make the squad.
Because that's another thing that we talked about, isn't it? Actually, we've got these players who can put in the performances, who are reliable in front of goal or in defence, but they're still not getting that shout for that squad. So yeah, it's tough because she deserves one, but clearly for Serena, she's not up there in who she's thinking about. Paul, for you, is there anyone we haven't mentioned, or anything we haven't mentioned about Brighton?
I think they'll drop off next season. I think they're a team that talks all right. And there's an interview with Tom Gary where Dario Vidosic has said, "I don't want to be the best of the rest. I want to be the best in the league." Which came out today on the evening of recording, actually. Which is the attitude.
They always know, don't they, when we're going to record?
It's the attitude you want to hear, but I don't know.
Will they do it?
I look at teams like Everton, and I think that Everton, the Feaking group, have really shown commitment. And Brighton have got their fancy women's centre of excellence and all this sort of stuff. But are Brighton the team who are going to go out there with their big new owners and make a statement women's signing? Particularly when they've lost 2/3 of their most used defence, with Torres Dottir and Bergstrand both leaving.
Yeah,
they've lost some big players. I think Brighton will regress next season.
Yeah, a bit of a wobble.
And Dario's such a lovely man. That seems quite.
No, well, hey,
one.
He's given the money. Then hopefully he can push on, and they can get to a point where they're challenging, because we saw what they could do at the beginning of the season. So hopefully, they get that investment and they get that support, and they can push on and show that they don't want to be fifth.
They need to step up from, with all due respect to those leagues, they need to step up from signing players from the A-League and players floating around to properly start making noise in the transfer market. And this is a theme with those teams in the middle.
Yeah, so bigger names, bigger quality players, big moment players as well. Because, you're right. I suppose kind of undiscovered talent is fantastic if they've then got the potential to kind of quickly become a real impact. Yeah, I'm with you.
If I'm Dario Vidosic, I'm on the phone to Sophie Ingle already and saying, as an experienced
that's a good show,
defensive midfielder who can form a telepathic link with Frank Kirby as well.
Yeah,
already having the amount of time they played together.
Yeah,
That's the kind of signing Brighton need to be making now. They need to be looking at the big names who are perhaps moving on from elite clubs because either they are moving on because they've been told that perhaps they might not get as much time as they want to and they still think they've got loads to offer or whatever, like they did with Kirby last year. But they need to do more
on
of
the
that.
move. Would Van der Donk go to Brighton, do you think?
If they throw enough money at her, she'd probably go anywhere.
Maybe.
What about Ellie Carpenter? She's apparently on the move as well. Will she go to Brighton?
To be fair, I'd really like to see Ellie Carpenter do yourself.
I mean, that's when you've got the power of a compatriot coach, I suppose.
Yeah.
Vidosic can sell Carpenter on Brighton.
Yeah, sell that dream.
Because she's going to have Arsenal. She's going to have Steph Catley in her ear, isn't she? She's going to have
Claire Wheeler. Get Claire Wheeler. Claire Wheeler to Everton.
You heard it here first. Ellie Carpenter's going to Everton.
Yeah, boy.
Could you imagine? I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. Hay should thrive. With Albury. But no, so yeah, Brighton finished fifth last season, and the ball's in their court to step up. Right then, next up, we're going to talk about a little team you've probably not heard of them. Had an all-right season. Chelsea. Chelsea. Chelsea, of course. I mean, those stats: 10 home wins, 9 away wins. 1 draw at home, 2 draws away, and 0 losses. Officially unbeaten for the entire season. I mean, it's an incredible feat, isn't it, for Sonia Bonpastor, another new manager this season, to come in, take over Emma Hayes' legacy, and break even more records, which people, a lot of people, maybe thought was an ask too far in her first season, but she's only gone and bloody done it, hasn't she? But, those stats, undeniable. Aggie Beaver-Jones, incredible standout player this season, 9 goals. And you just think, where can they go next? Because, Paul, you mentioned earlier, they threw down the gauntlet for money and transfers because of course they broke the record with bringing Naomi Gurma in this season, didn't they? So did Chelsea, for all they've won, what was Chelsea's season like for you? Because it was very impressive, wasn't it?
It was a failure.
Oh,
didn't expect that.
For me, it was a failure because
that's the bit we're clipping. Yeah,
it was there you go. 49 minutes. It was a team built to win the Champions League and it didn't. That's that.
Yeah, okay.
That is, that was Chelsea's holy grail. That was Chelsea's white whale. That was Chelsea's reason for being, and they didn't do it. And even more gallingly for them, they lost it to a team who they would consider inferior. Now, before you kick off, Arsenal fans, I said a team they would consider inferior, not a team I personally consider inferior. Or who
Well,
are.
Paul, you are now an Arsenal fan, so
There you go. There's the clip bit. What do you think of the Chelsea season? Well, it was a failure, and they lost. They didn't win the Champions League, and they lost it to a team that they would consider inferior. Their biggest rivals.
Yeah, because to put it in perspective, they won. Yes, they won the domestic treble. They won the league. They won the FA Cup. They won the Subway Cup. But of course, getting to the Champions League, and they lost 8-2 on aggregate to Barcelona. 4-1 at home, 4-1 away, and they've, we can't take their success away from them. But this isn't the best season performance-wise they've had, because yes, we can argue they've had a lot of injuries. Of course, they have. Sam Kerr's been missing. Naomi Girma came injured, and you just think they've still managed to do what they've done without being at their peak. So, Chloe, for you, hasn't been their best, but which players have stood out for you? Who would you like to really praise from that Chelsea squad this season?
I would really quite like to praise Kira Walsh, if I may.
51 minutes.
Stop looking at me.
35 and 51. In fact, Kira counter. Hang on.
Well,
this is where we need one in the corner, and you just have a clicker. Right?
Again, yep.
Borderline offensive. But
I know it's not borderline. It's weird.
Unlike Kira, it took 81 games to score her first goal for England.
Oh yes, my bad. It's just pure offence. No. She's just a class player, isn't she? Like, she's just. I mean, did take her 81 attempts to score for England, but we're just not going to count that. But
it's all right. We're talking about Chelsea. It's all good.
No, I just think in that midfield, she's an absolute maestro. Like, she's just so good. And to be fair, I didn't think she'd leave Barcelona. I thought she was going to stay there until the end, and then she'd move to the WSL. But I think this move
there until the end, like
of time of the season,
very final, the end.
Just stop at the end of time.
She's 97 and she's still there.
Her entire existence. No, I did think she might go to Arsenal to be a best friend Leah, but
because there were a lot of rumours, of course, that Arsenal put the bid in. And again, whether it was talk versus rumours versus what actually happened, that they put the money, it wasn't enough. And then Chelsea, of course, came along and put the money down and managed to secure the player they wanted. Yes. Because, of course, at the beginning of the season, Kira Walsh, Lucy Bronze, of course, both came from Barcelona. And, again, this Chelsea side, you look at these big names, and like we were saying about Brighton, they really need to kind of step up and get more recognised players. But these players are going to be looking at Arsenal, Chelsea, United, City, like those kind of teams. Because kind of going under the radar a bit, again, not in any team of the season. Paul, we wanted to talk about Aaron Cuthbert, didn't we?
Just a bit.
Just a bit, yeah.
Chelsea's Scottish Terrier. Like
Scottish Terrier, yeah.
She is Chelsea's heartbeat, I think. And you saw that in the game against Barcelona and her reaction to it afterwards.
Yeah.
Like she may not be from London, she may not have necessarily grown up a Chelsea fan, but she has now taken on the mantle. She is Chelsea. Her and Millie Bright are Chelsea now. Yeah. And wherever Erin Cuthbert goes, Chelsea go. She is the emotional heartbeat of that team.
I like that.
And the thing that interests me about Chelsea next season is domestically they're going to be up there again, but like you say, they've got nowhere more to go. Great, they can go for another unbeaten season. They'll try and win 20 games.
Well, they'll
try and win 21, which
no draws, just all and that's the thing. The where they are, the only thing left would be Champions League, wouldn't it? So unless the league expands, unless something else happens domestically, they've been there, done that. Okay, we'll do it all again. That's fine.
The only thing they can do domestically now is go for the perfect season.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe has ever been done in any league anywhere, men's or women's.
That sounds like a record that needs to be broken.
So,
yeah, I mean, if they can do that, that's just incredible, isn't it? But we talked before on the pod this season about, Sonia Bonpastor said, we were up there, we were receiving our medals for the Super League, for all the cups, and the players were saying this should be the Champions League, and you can see that now that they can win, and it's great to win. But it's not going to be until they win that Champions League trophy that I think they're going to be satisfied. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the question now is, what more can they?
Or how do they do it?
Do they bring in?
Yeah.
Short of taking Bonmati or Guijaro, which isn't going to happen. Short of. Is Sam Kerr going to return and have an incredible season? Is Mia Fischel going to return and add even more firepower? Because, like you say, yes, it was a failure for Chelsea, but people who want to defend Chelsea will say, well, they were missing Sam Kerr, they were missing Mia Fischel, they were missing player X, player Y most of the season.
And that's the thing.
Imagine what they'd have done with that.
Yeah. But it's if it was there, they just need to kind of be back and be making that impact, don't they? So that Chelsea have those options to push on, because we saw what Fischel could do. We know what Sam Kerr can do. Lauren James, of course, has been troubled by a lot of injury as well, which has then impacted on being called up for England. And you just think, all of these key players, yes, you can't, totally rely on them, but there is a factor of, if we just had them for that match.
I think Sam Kerr is expendable, though, for Chelsea. I think they can let her go this summer without missing a beat.
Ooh.
There you go. You can clip that.
Maybe that's 6. There we go. 56.
Because Ramirez, Fischel, Beaver Jones. Because Fischel, Beaver Jones, and Ramirez.
Yeah.
Sam Kerr is not the best striker in that lineup, because Myra Ramirez is. Sam Kerr is possibly not the second best striker in that lineup, because Aggie Beaver Jones is.
It would be very interesting when Sam is back from injury, because we heard kind of today there's been another setback. There's been, another operation has in the claw, you were saying.
Yes.
So there's, it sounds like it's going to be even longer for her to come back. And obviously would love to see her next season at some point. But it's got to be the right thing for her to make sure she doesn't get injured again, isn't it?
If you can swap Sam Kerr, I can think of 10 players in Europe who I would trade Sam Kerr for. Straight off. Who would improve
the words of Sutton from Real Housewives. Name them.
So
Name them.
running through them.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I'm gonna have a crack. Maybe not all 10.
Okay.
Eva Payor.
Yeah.
Younger, scores more. Yeah. Barca might not let her go, but if you say we'll trade you Sam Kerr for her.
That's true, because they did say on the Barca grapevine that they're open to offers for quite a few players. So I think not winning Champions League has kind of hit them a bit hard, and they're willing to just rebuild almost.
Julia Gwynn.
Oh, good shout, yeah.
I would also trade for Grace Gioro in midfield. Or Kadidiatu Diani.
Yes.
Merti Dumornay.
Oh, yeah.
A really interesting one, Ada Hegerberg.
Ooh.
If you go to Lyon, because Ada Hegerberg is not starting for Lyon. So if you go to Lyon and go, Kerr for Hegerberg.
That's true.
I'd take that trade in a heartbeat.
I'd say that. Yeah. Yeah.
See, I'm starting to sell you on this, aren't I? Now I'm genuinely.
I'm impressed. Okay. Well, there's some again massive names in that list, and you think, if a deal could be done, as we're seeing more and more now, who knows who could end
Rachel
up.
Kudanji and Barbara Banda in a heartbeat. Either of those.
Yeah, could you imagine the money to get them out of the NWSL? Though is going to be huge because they were.
Chelsea can't afford that. You go to an NWSL team and go, we'll give you Sam Kerr plus we'll buy out Rachel Kudanji or Barbara Banda's contract.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. There you
go. And again, last one, Trinity Rodman.
Yes, because again, rumours, whether they're true or not, that Chelsea was it Chelsea or Arsenal that went in for her, or rumoured?
It was Chelsea who were supposedly
allegedly
linked with her. But if you tell me swap Sam Kerr for Trinity Rodman, yes, wouldn't even think about it. Snap your hand off.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting window indeed to the future because ultimately, if we're taking all emotion out of it and they're looking at it as a business and where next to go, why not bring in these big names? Why not put the money down and see the return on your investment in business terms?
This is the conversation that needs to happen. Yeah. Paul Green has been very good at doing that for Chelsea, looking at stuff as a business. Releasing Frank Kirby was very much a business decision, for example. Yeah,
because Chelsea at the minute have only released Sophie Ingle and Zashira Musovic as well. So apart from that, and you look at how many players they've got, how many youngsters on loan as well, where they'll go next season. Will any of them maybe break in? Probably not yet.
Also, Clara Bull. I'd swap Clara Bull for Sam Kerr in a heartbeat.
Okay. Yeah.
As well. Because Sam Kerr is what, 31 now?
Oh, ancient. Yeah.
Well, no. That's
no. I know what you mean. Though. Yeah, she's 31. She's 31.
She's 31. Clara Bull is 24. She scored a goal every other game internationally. Leia Schuler is 27. She scored an average of 2 goals every 3 games for Germany. And Bayern Munich would snap your hand off. You said, right, okay, Sam Kerr for one of those.
I mean, again, massive names. And if Chelsea going to put the money where the mouth is, as they have done on many occasions. But yeah, I just need to look at those stats once again.
And I think it would be a case if they were letting Sam Kerr go, it would be to a league that wasn't. They wouldn't let them go to another WSL team. It would be probably not Barcelona. It would be right. We'll send you to Bayern or we'll send you to the NWSL.
Yeah, not direct competition. Yeah.
So the most likely one of those for me is having discussions with NWSL teams and going, Sam Kerr could be in play if you want to send Trinity Rodman the other way.
That'd be good. My transfer tracker will get loads of views if that happens. So if we could just all manifest that'd be great. But of course we had other players. Natalie Bjorn has gone under the radar this season. Sandy Baltimore, we want to just take a minute for her. Exciting, young French talent who's come in and just what an impression she's made. Johanna Retting Canaries, what she's been doing, another person who can play seemingly everywhere and get results from it. And you just think all of the players in this team, if they can just unlock that something extra that can take them to that Champions League final and win it, I think, what a magical season that would be. So yeah, an interesting summer ahead for our WSL winners there. Unfortunately, other end of the table, I'll put with Crystal Palace. I had such high hopes when they came up, and we all did, didn't we? We were like, you know what? They represent everything that we want in a team in the WSL. They're fighting for every match. They're performing. They're working together. They're such a unit. And Laura Kaminsky, who brought them up, was doing a fantastic job with what she had, and we just kind of want to say that. And by the end of the season, we had yet another managerial change. Leif Smeerud came in, took charge the last couple, and there was a lot of noise around his I was going to say teaching style there. He's not a teacher. His managerial style, not playing players just because. So yeah, he didn't feel like a good fit at all, and it just felt like a massive kick in the teeth to Kaminsky for getting rid of her to bring someone in who did arguably a worse job. To have him then turn around and also announce he's leaving at the end of the season, apparently so that Palace can have a clean break, a clean start without him in the new season. Top goal scorers for Palace then, Annabelle Blanchard, Katie Stengel, and, so many underrated players in this side. So I'll tell you what, we're going to start there because we had on our listing where we had Annabelle Blanchard, who we just saw there as one of the top goal scorers. Ashley Weirden, incredible season, and I really hope someone in the WSL picks her up. I really, really do. Same for Annabelle Blanchard. And we also said Shea Yanez in goal because, Paul, without her, and it's easy to say, well, why are you saying that? They got relegated. But she was a really good goalie, wasn't she?
It could have been horrific.
It could have been so much worse.
It could have been so much worse. If they'd had championship level goalie came in, which Shea Yanez apparently was, but she moved to it could have got so much worse. And
so
you just feel sorry for her incredibly because
if you're just looking at stats, then obviously it doesn't look great at all. But if it was then goals saved as an extra tally, I know, Chloe, you had the stat about Courtney Brosnan making the most saves in the season. 92, wasn't it? 92 saves. So yeah, but Yanez, for the hand Yanez was dealt, I think she did incredibly well and should be, given that moment of recognition. But they pushed Villa for relegation right until the end, and we talked about it earlier. It could have gone either way. Chloe, how did you feel Palace season went? Kind of for you, how would you kind of sum their arc up, the story arc of the season?
No, I'm not going to say that. No, to be fair, I always think it's tough when a team comes up from the championship and stuff, because it is a completely new level of. Well, I was about to say football, but it's not really, because football's football, innit? But it's a whole new just level.
New tagline for the podcast: "Football's football, innit?"
It's football, innit? I don't know what my point is. I know what my point is, but I don't know how to get my point across. But it's just a step. It's a step up. Like, we all know what I mean. The chat will know what I mean. We know what I mean. Just go with it. We know I chat bollocks half the time.
So. People in the chat watching this now, type "I know what you mean" if you do know what Chloe means, and then we're good.
I don't think anyone does. I don't even know what I mean half the time. No, but it is tough. It is difficult, and I just think they had it really tough. And to be fair, I think we all expected that they might get relegated. It was a toss between them or Villa. To be fair, it was also at one point, like, do you not remember our first half? Could have been
Hey, we'll talk about Everton in a minute. Hang on, don't you worry.
Can't wait. But no, I do think it was very tough and for Palace, and I do think they were just a little bit hard done by everything that went on. Managerial change, players leaving, they lost players, they recruited players, and it's just hard to. But they handled it well, and it is a shame that they did go, but they were the right ones.
Because the main thing that we were getting from the Palace fans was, Paul, that actually it was the club itself and how it was being ran. Do you want to kind of sum it up if people weren't aware of all the things going on behind the scenes? Because it wasn't a pretty end, was it, to this season?
It wasn't. They were from the sounds of it, they were basically trying to run a WSL team on a championship budget, and not even the biggest championship budget either, because the owners went, okay, we'll put money in, but we won't recruit until late. We won't go out after people hugely or make any statement signings. And then at the end of the season, there was when the fans tried to make the point of this, the club tried to silence them, and it was all a bit, it just wasn't very good optics, and it's one of those things that's starting to happen more and more with certain, particularly Premier League clubs and their women's affiliates.
Yeah. And of course, when we do our championship review show, we've got a lot to talk about, haven't we, to do with clubs and owners and just not getting behind their women's team. And you just think it's, we've had to fight for so many years for women's football to be where it is now. The fight is nowhere near over. So for clubs to start to give up and not care and not want to put the money in, it's just even more of a kick in the teeth, isn't it? When you see, Champions League, you see the Euros winners, you see World Cup winners, and then you get some teams who don't want to even pay, championship budgets because they don't want to meet the minimum requirements. And you just think there's so much drastically that needs to change. And to see that gap in the WSL, and that's why, what we really wanted from what they call now WSL football, Nikki Dissett and her company, we really wanted to see more put in place for the league to be sustainable and to help those clubs and to help the league grow, not rebranding. But because there's so much more of a serious message there, isn't there? Like that gap between the teams. And it was just heartbreaking to see, because Palace have so much potential. I mean, we'll look at more of those names. You've got Lady Woodham, you've got Katrin Vai, you've got Mike Cato there, Lexi Potter, who's unknown from Chelsea, Millie Guile as well. She was incredible. When Katie Stengel came in, everyone went, "Oh, that's an experienced name coming in." And again, to be joint top goal scorer, and just the potential in that side was incredible. And what they did with what they had, unfortunately, it was kind of just not enough. Here's a question though: do we think if Villa had gone down, or if Palace had actually stayed up, do you think the club then would have given the money and said, "Oh, we're in the WSL, now for another season, let's invest"? Or do you think they might have actually pulled out, essentially, because the money, they're not putting it? Paul, any thoughts?
I don't think if Villa had gone down, I don't think the owners would have pulled out.
No.
I think they might have cut their cloth a bit, and you would have seen players like Rachel Daly leave.
Oh no, I meant Palace. Sorry,
but Palace owners seem uninterested in their women's team. They want all the exposure from it, and they probably would have taken an exposure from the WSL for a year. But
yeah,
we still have a thing, I think, where a lot of men's team owners, when their women's team get to the WSL, they don't, because they're worried they'll go straight back down because of the perceived gap. They're just like, a lot of them are just like, well, we'll take a year in the WSL and
give it a go, see what you do.
We'll take a year of the WSL. We'll hope it increases our crowds, and then everyone's only turning up to watch the Lionesses anyway, so we'll get big crowds against Chelsea or Arsenal or Man City, Man United.
it's so like annoying's not even the word for it, is it? But like to have that attitude of like very defeatist. And it's like you can't have that attitude when it comes to women's football. Needs to be on the up, and positive is how we're going to change it. So unfortunately Crystal Palace were relegated, only gaining 10 points. They gained 10 points. It was
more
very
than Bristol City.
Who was, sorry?
4 more than Bristol City did last season.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So it shows that, they came out fighting every single match, and that's exactly what we wanted and what we loved for them. The fact that they could do that. Devastating for them that they were only in the WSL for a single season. But hey, it's always next year. Then get promoted back if everything sorts itself out. Now moving on then to Chloe's moment. To talk about her team, of course. But let's have a look at some stats first. We've got best underrated manager in the league, Brian Sorensen. You've got top 3 there. You've got Hayashi, Snois, and Kanigago, all on 4 goals, and finished in 8th place. And like we mentioned earlier, considering the start of the season, a bit like Villa, 8th. Take it. So Chloe, for you, as our resident Everton supporter, sum up the season. How was it for you?
The only issue I've got of 8th is I'm absolutely fuming because we finished 1 point behind Liverpool. That's my biggest beef with this.
Of all the teams in all the world.
And I actually wouldn't be bothered if it was any other team, but finishing 1 point behind Liverpool, absolutely not. No, we had a horrific start to the season, like horrible. We lost 4-0 to Brighton on the opening day, and that was also the game we lost Yaya to her ACL.
Yes, of course, you had the ACL injuries. Yeah,
we lost to Man United. We then drew with Arsenal, drew with West Ham, lost to Leicester, which says a lot about our season. Lost 5-0 to Chelsea. Then we lost 1-0 to Chelsea, which actually doesn't seem that bad, and I will go with it. Then drew with Palace, and our first win didn't actually come until November, the end of November, which is tragic. But
and for Villa, yay!
that is also my favourite game of the season. The entire time I've worked this season, been to games this season, we won at my favourite game ever, which was the Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, when all I did was send videos to the group chat crying because I couldn't stop. Couldn't stop crying all day. It was great. That game was, I think, our turning point because we'd had so many injuries. We'd been faced with so much trial and tribulation. We had, we hadn't lost Meg at this point, but we then lost her later in the series. The series?
Are you watching too many episodes of Housewives?
In season 3.
Oh god.
Meredith Marks once said
I was on a roll. I was monologuing. I was on such a good roll, and I lost
just imagine the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, god.
Oh, we need to get you a Housewives intro now, Chloe.
I'll start thinking of it. I only support my team half the time, but when I do, no, I'll think of a good one and feedback. No, what my point was is I feel like that game at Goodison Park was really our defining moment in the season and really changed our game round. But on a personal level, it was also my favourite because I got a one-on-one with our Brian Harcourt. Yay. Love Harcourt. What a woman. I'll move on to more of her in a sec. But yeah, we lost so many players due to injury. We had like such a big injury crisis at one point as well, to the point where we literally had our academy on the bench. And it was like, we don't know what's happening here. We don't know who we're playing. We don't know what we're playing. We don't know like what our formation's going to be. We don't know who we've even got available.
Yeah.
But then it all turned around and eighth. I'll happily take eighth. We've got a new investment as well, the Friedkin Group. I feel like I said this last week, but when they came in and took over and they said, "Oh yeah, we're fully invested in our women's team just as much as the men's team," I fully went, "Yeah, right, of course you are. No one's ever invested in the women's team," type thing.
Yeah.
But then they took over and we got 5 new players. We got 5 new signings. We got Mara Mieldi, which, sorry,
Legend of the game. Yeah.
why would you want to come to Everton? I hear you ask. Answer, absolutely no clue. We got her. We got Hayley Ladd. We got Martina Fernandez. We got signings, and it was like we got Emma Watson. It was like, oh, hello. They do actually care. And then all these rumours about Goodison Park being the women's new home started flying about, and I was like, yeah, sure, Jan, that's really going to happen. But they do actually care, and that makes such a difference when your investors care about not only your first team, your first men's team, and your women's team, but they also seem to care about the academy team and like the under nines and all them teams as well, because they're going to be using Wharton Hall Park for the development, and
Yes, of course.
that just shows that the owners actually care, and hopefully in the summer we can make some more decent signings, because Brian Sorensen is really all about the Everton feel. Like, he wants a younger squad, but you just have to fit in with Everton. You've just got to fit that mentality and be that family feel, which is what Everton is really about. And bless our Bri, he's been dealt such a bad deck of cards for so long, and now it finally feels like we're on the up. And as the famous song goes, Everton's on the up and up, and we totally are on the up and up because we're moving to Goodison Park, which is like the best thing ever. Like, I genuinely cannot describe the feeling of Goodison, the atmosphere of Goodison, the history of Goodison. I mean, Dixie Dean is literally buried underneath the pitch, like at the centre spot. Like, he's just everything about going to Goodison next season is going to be so magical and amazing, and I'm just so excited. That first preseason game, I will be there, and I can't wait. Special mention does have to go to our court though, because when do I not want to talk about her? She's great. No, she's just 92 stops this season. She plays something like 1,800 and something odd minutes of the entire campaign. We're going campaign now. Oh my god, why can't I just speak properly?
I'm so excited.
I'm so
She's
excited.
a big journo now.
Oh,
You
yeah,
have to
big
use her for
journo.
campaign.
Yeah. Well,
I know big words. No, talk about Courtney Brosnan just makes me so excited, because I just think she's an incredible keeper. She kept us in the game so many times and produced so many incredible saves, like the fingertips save she made a couple of weeks ago against Brighton, where she literally just batted it over with the tips of her fingers. It was like, oh, like she's but also watching her the other day in the Republic of Ireland game, oh, she was on fire. She was so good. I really wish she was English at times, because she could be another keeper for the Lionesses, but don't we all wish that some players were English that are not, just so that they could play for us? No, I think she's incredible, and I'm so excited to see what she does next season. But there's also a bit of fear because her contract is up next season, so our court to get that renewal done immediately go, because I cannot cope if she actually I might cry if she leaves, but we're not there yet. But she's just been incredible, and she's one of like the biggest presences on the pitch. Like, you will hear her no matter where you are, even when you're at Goodison and you sat right up in the press box, you can still hear her. Like, she's on the other side of the pitch, can still be heard from miles. Like, she's just, and
that's what you need in a goalkeeper.
When she plays at Goodison Park, you can hear her at Anfield.
Yeah.
It's that level of noise.
That's how loud she's going to be.
She's also one of the players in like Brian's captain's group. Like, he's got a little captain's group, which is quite cute. It's like they're a little like clique. So it's got like Katja Snoyce, R. Claire, R. Court, Meg Finnegan. Well, Meg Finnegan is captain, but he's got all these little players, and I've really enjoyed seeing Claire Wheeler as well for the past 3 weeks as captain, because that's something I've never seen her do before. And in midfield, she's literally so incredible. I've seen so much praise for her online playing for the Tillies, and I'm like, yes, Queen, you finally people are seeing what I'm seeing about our Claire, but now I'm worried because people are seeing what I see about our Claire. And now I'm a little bit worried about poaching because people have seen how good she is. And I'm like,
it's the only thing, isn't it? You want your players to get what they deserve, but then as soon as they do, it's like, oh, but don't leave.
like, I'm loving all this praise for her and people calling her like incredible and amazing and saying all this positive stuff. And I'm like, yes, she's getting this recognition, but then it's like, no, she's getting this recognition. And like, don't nobody
You can have a little bit of recognition, but she's staying here.
Yeah.
She's staying as good as it. Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, with all of this investment coming in, the transfer window again is going to be incredible, because there is support there to get more players in, to really kick on. And yes, you finished 8th, but the potential in that side is incredible. So yes, what a roller coaster season for Everton. Right, moving on then. Another team that had a bit of a roller coaster, Leicester City, finished 10th, and they just never really found their rhythm, did they? Amandine Mikel came in. She was announced, I think it was July last year, and it didn't seem to be coming together. And we look at their opening results. I'll just get them up now. Google keeps taking me back to matchday 22, and I'm like, no, I want to go back to the beginning. So yeah, opening day of the season, drew with Liverpool, and you thought, oh, okay, 1-1, lovely. Then lost to Arsenal. You can kind of think, yeah, that was kind of expected. Lost to Crystal Palace. I think that was a big one because, again, nothing against Crystal Palace whatsoever. But you'd expect Leicester to be taking points from that, at least. And of course, they had injuries, new manager. And I don't know, there was something missing this season. First time, Villa faced them at Villa Park, it was 0-0. Won narrowly against Everton, so the scores were kind of all over the place. So Paul, we'll come to you first. Leicester for you this season, what do you think? Because it was kind of a bit meh.
It was, but they lost one of their key players, Jota Rantala, relatively early to injury after 3 games.
Yeah.
And
because we saw what she did the season before, didn't we?
We did. And Chantal Swaby, who was a very good signing in January, but was only signed in January. And like you look at the fact that they were having, in inverted commas, to play players like Missy Goodwin, who's very, very good, but Missy Goodwin probably in most WSL teams wouldn't be starting 15 games.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And it's things like that where you look at it and you go, actually, Amandine Mikel didn't do a bad job. Like, it was clearly their home form that kept them up, because they have a positive goal difference at home, 5 wins, and 17 points. In fact, of their 20 points, 17 of them came at home, and
wow,
fortress king power. But again, I want to focus, and I don't know why I'm indicating with my mouse pointer, because then you can see it, but I'm doing it. Actually, if you regularly watch the pod, you know which player I'm going to pick out now, who should have been there all season, who, if she'd been there all season, would have been different.
Hey, Shannon O'Brien.
I think that Leicester may struggle to hold on to her this summer. I think that
Yeah, I can see that.
savvy teams, and we're not talking the top four, we're talking savvy teams like Everton, like Liverpool, Spurs, maybe, will be looking at the teams around them, looking where to raid and going, do you know what? If Shannon O'Brien has a full season, she could do something pretty special because
What she can do.
she's had injury issues the past few seasons. And admittedly, I'm a bit biased because she's a Cov girl. And I have been yelling about her since watching her play for Coventry United, age 17, which is 4 or 5 years ago now. That's depressing. But she is the kind of player who Leicester need to hold on to. Yuka Mamiki as well.
Yes, we want to shout
a huge player.
Yeah, vital for them this season.
And then, like you say, we have players like Sophie Howard and Sam Tierney who have been there around there a while and are doing their jobs.
And you need those reliable players, don't you, to be able to, whatever the weather, kind of turn up, do the job, and secure a point, secure a draw, secure as much as they need.
I think it'll be interesting to see what Amandine Mikel does this summer. Especially, I fear for Leicester next season with them being relegated, the men's team. I think Leicester women will suffer from men's teamitis.
Those bloody male footballers ruining our women's football.
Wait, men play football?
I know men play. Men play.
If I were one of Leicester's key players, I would probably at least be looking around and seeing what else was out there.
Options. Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to Leicester as a football club or Leicester as a town or anything like that.
No.
And I know you might find that hard to believe being from Coventry because, the best thing, we say here the best thing to come out of Leicester is the M69. But that goes to Coventry, for those who don't know. But I just worry. I think Amandine Mikel is going to be playing next season one hand tied behind her back as we go for her own.
Because it's trying to manage in the given constraints, isn't it? What we've seen, other managers do, Brian Sorensen, and Matt Beard to an extent, who we're going to talk about next. And you just think, you can only judge managers, players. You judge clubs for different reasons. But yeah, managers and players on what they've actually got to work with. If you've got Chelsea's budget and you're still doing badly, then yeah, that's probably something going on wrong there. But if if you're fighting for every penny, then it's a complete different ballgame, isn't it? So hopefully Leicester, they're not abandoned and their support is continued in the next season because they finally got into a good bit of form at the end of that season. I know finishing 10th doesn't ultimately seem like it, but there was a time at the beginning of the season where I was joking about, Villa are at the bottom, but, Leicester's still there. Leicester's still in this relegation race. And then Leicester got a couple of points. And I was like, oh, no. Is it going to be us instead?
It's between us and Palace.
Yeah. So yeah, it was touch and go. And Villa and Leicester were able to do it. But if another, stronger team coming up this season, London City, we know they've got the money. Michelle Kang will buy everyone to make sure she wins. So yeah, it could be interesting again. Relegation.
That's what my topical tag is. It's just. Who we going? Can we sign someone? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can. Like Bob the Builder. Can he fix it?
I was thinking more Robbie Williams. Can you kick it?
Yes, you can. I love how we did that. We haven't digressed much. That was. Well, we can allow ourselves a bit of a digression.
We can allow ourselves that. There we go. See, without the live chat, we're actually staying on topic. Quite a lot. Well done, us. So moving on to Liverpool. Now, again, a team that had some brilliant moments and some brilliant players. One of whom we're going to talk about in a moment for her impact. But another managerial change. Matt Beard, of course. We all know what credentials he has and what he brought to the game, and then he was let go. And Matt Beard, we talk about budgets and things, but he alluded to the fact that, actually he didn't have that much money, and kind of Liv Smith was kind of his budget kind of gone, didn't he? But I mean, what a signing she was to bring in. In that, being top goal scorer, 7 goals across the season. And you think, looking at their form, 3 home wins, 4 away, 3 draws at home, losses. So, slightly better home form than away, but pretty consistent. And I think that's what Liverpool did this season. There was only a couple of shocks either way. But yeah, Chloe, for you, obviously, the other colour on Merseyside. How did you rate Liverpool's season? Because it was not what people expected, considering where they finished last season, was it? But yeah, what was it like for you?
No, it wasn't. And even then, they've had a difficult season as well. I will admit, I do miss Matt Beard. I think he was really good, and I think he did great stuff for the team. So his sacking was kind of an odd one, but I do kind of get it in that kind of weird way. I feel like Amber Whitley, she's been that kind of words. We'll try that sentence again. She's been like that breath of fresh air, but like Renee Slegos has been for Arsenal, where she's come in and kind of had that fresh eye, those new ideas. I mean, they knocked Arsenal out of the cup. Like that's pretty impressive when you think about it, and when you think it's just Liverpool type thing, but it's not, and it is just showing these like I'm saying this as me supporting Everton, like those minority teams, if you will, like those teams you think nothing of are coming back and are taking points off big teams. And to be fair, I feel like 7th is undeserved. No, 7th is deserved. I'm just bitter, okay, about the 1 point.
Well, I think there wasn't much in it, was there? Not much at all, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah.
I feel like Taylor Hines has been really good. Kerry Holland, Leanne Kernan, when she wasn't injured, has been exceptional. I've really quite liked seeing Rachel Laws in goal as well, but I would have quite liked to see a bit more of Tegan Micah, because I think she has got potential. Liverpool are a good team as well, and hopefully we've not read any rumours on managers. Amber said that she doesn't really want the permanent job, I think. Don't quote me on anything, because I don't actually know. But I feel like she's said that she doesn't want to be permanent, and I'm just wondering who their new manager is going to be, because it's got to be someone who will continue to strive and want that high position. And obviously, they lost to Everton twice in the league, so
you just had to get that one in there, didn't you?
I did. We did the double.
On behalf of Danny, because Danny isn't here. Phil Neville.
Yes,
Phil Neville.
Yep. Guys.
There you go, Danny. We've got you covered.
Brilliant. Because Paul, how about for you? Because obviously, they brought in Olivia Smith, and we've talked about Marie Hobbinger. She was out injured for a while, and what a difference she made. We've got Fuka Nagano, who you've talked about plenty on the pod, and of course Grace Fisk as well. More, criminally underrated players. So yeah, this season for you, despite everything, how was Liverpool's performance for you?
I think it was a bit of a missed opportunity for Liverpool. Because I think if they had kicked on from last season with investment, it could have been very. And I think I said over the summer, which a certain other fan base took great joy in reminding me in about January. I swear that there were some people, who go back through my Twitter account and quote stuff. But I said back in January, the way Liverpool are, if they can find a striker to partner Sophie Roman-Hauk, they could really kick on. And they kind of did with Olivia Smith, but they didn't really give anything else. Like, they still relied on let's have the underrated workman-like players. And Everton have got an excuse for doing that, or have had an excuse, because of That's their style and that's their identity, people's club and all that. Liverpool are one of the richest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
They are Premier League champions now.
Yes.
Sorry, your women's team should be up competing with Manchester United and Chelsea at this point.
Yeah, should be pushing on. Absolutely.
You should be pushing on to try and we should be in the position now in the summer where we're hearing the big transfer battles Liverpool are in and around them to try and make a point, to try and nick players from under the noses of Chelsea, from Manchester United, and you see Manchester United fans complain a lot that Man United get a bunch of criticism for their lack of investment in the women's team and all that sort of stuff, whereas Liverpool haven't really. Nobody's really mentioned it. But I'm glad you mentioned Grace Fisk, because otherwise I'd have ranted about her for half an hour. She must have, run over a black cat or something, because she is an England quality defender. She has been utterly immense this season for Liverpool. And she couldn't do anything more.
Yeah. She isn't getting talked about, isn't getting what she deserves. And, and that's the reason why we love doing this podcast and this, these review shows, because we can talk about these players who are criminally underrated.
And we're seeing it happen as well, because Taylor Hines has now switched allegiance to play for Jamaica after playing for England. She's one of the few players who's played almost every minute in the WSL this season for her club, which for Taylor Hines, who, playing in that wing-back system that Liverpool play in, it's a punishing role that she plays. So it's a huge testament to her that she's played every minute. And I don't know. I just look at Liverpool, and again, it's a running theme. If you wanted to clip highlights of me from this podcast, you could just clip one of these supercuts of me just going, they need to have a big summer.
Yeah. All of the teams,
loads of them. And Liverpool are another one. And we know Liverpool have the money. And hopefully the stuff going on across Stanley Park will really see them give Liverpool's owners a kick up the arse. Because if it doesn't, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm asking some serious questions. If they're outspent by Everton this summer, I am asking some serious questions as a Liverpool fan base. And I do wonder if we could be seeing, I'm going to make Chloe smile widely now. I do wonder if we could be seeing a power shift on Merseyside, at least in the women's game now, where Everton, the blue, the red half might dominate the men's game at the moment, but in the women's game, I get the sense that the Everton owners are more committed to it. I mean, they've just poached Liverpool's one of Liverpool's high level executives to be their new CEO as well.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we've signed a new French goalkeeper. I'm very much unaware of this, but it's been announced.
There's been a signing, but for who, Chloe?
Everything's signed a keeper, but who knows who? I don't know. No, to be fair, I feel like we've dominated the WSL for ages, but this year we will see. Next year, I don't know what's happening anymore. We've gone from series to colleagues to whatever. I think we could dominate, and I'm very excited for Everton's future.
Me too, from a outsider perspective. And I'm so glad we ended that on the Liverpool segment. But Liverpool, of course, finishing 7th, of course, lower than they had the previous season. And it's that curse, isn't it, of when you do really well. Villa had it, highest ever finish, and then dropped off. Liverpool had it, then dropped off. And you just think, as Paul predicted earlier, Brighton got the 5th. Is it Brighton's turn next season as well? Final question, though. I know we mentioned it briefly. Amber Whiteley at the moment is interim. We haven't heard anything to the contrary, whether she's, do you think she'd be a good fit, or do you think they should still be looking for a new manager full time? Anyone got any thoughts?
Depends who's out there.
I
Also,
don't know, I like her.
Yeah, I like her. Yeah, she's got a good energy about her.
And she's so normal as well. She's great.
Normal.
And no, what I mean by normal is she's very much the Carla Ward-esque, where she'll literally just say it how it is and not sugarcoat anything. Like that's
what you need, isn't it?
That's what I love. I loved Carla's mentality of that, and she did it again.
Yeah.
On Friday, ahead of the Ireland game, where she went, "Well, Katie can celebrate how she wants. She's back with us. She's absolutely fine. We're going to play her. Perfect." And I'm like, this is what we want, Carla. This is the content we need. Just you being so real, so honest. Like, yeah, she can celebrate. Thank you.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She deserves it more. Yeah, and it's remembering that the players are human, isn't it? And you want a manager that sees that, and you've got the business people that think about it as a business, but you've got the actual managers that can step in and be like, right, okay, we know where the limits are, we know where to draw the lines. Yeah.
And they're also just honest about injuries as well. Like, they don't try and sugarcoat, oh, we'll wait for a scan on Friday. Da-da-da. She's just like, Amber's just like, yeah, no, it's a cough. And it's like, thanks. That's actually, we don't want to know about.
And not hiding.
Can you tell Chloe's a journalist? Can you tell the way to be popular with Chloe is just be straight. I've just got visions of Amber Whiteley being like Bob Mortimer on that last one, laughing. Oh, it's injury. Oh yeah, that's buggered. That is like.
It just makes my life so much easier when they just say like what the straight injury, when they say straight what the injury is, or like I can't be doing with all this like beating around the bush type. Oh, we think it's the knee. She's gonna have a scan on Friday, and then
we'll. I haven't spoken to her. Well, why not?
Just
why have we not talked to your player? What's going on?
Just tell me straight. Matt Bid did it all the time. Amber does it. Brian Sorensen does it. They're just fully honest. Like, oh, I mean, they're not as honest as Barcelona are, because I think Barcelona are too honest. But
that's much information with Barcelona. But no, you're right. You want a manager who is down to earth and clearly gets the best out of the players. So if she does stay, great appointment. If not, then it must be someone very, very good indeed. So that was Liverpool finishing 7th in the WSL.
Do you know who Liverpool have been linked with from the French league, by the way?
Oh, go on.
Clara Matteo.
Really?
What?
Oh, that'd be good. That'd be very good.
It was only like on French Twitter, so it was probably nothing. But it's like, Clara Matteo, and apparently that's because Chiamaka Nandozi has gone to Everton. So,
yes,
that was the goalie from France. So
the goalie from France, the great fan rumor. There we go. Yes. So again, transfer window doesn't open for a few weeks, but we're already getting the rumors and seeing who's going where. Right then, on to Manchester City. Only a few clubs left, so let's keep going through them. Man City now finished 4th, so unfortunately they're not getting Champions League football next season. Top goal scorer Bunny Shaw, who of course has been hit by injury this season, as has the majority of their squad. And I think really, if we look at this season for Man City, it hasn't been a true reflection of what they could be, has it? Because lots of teams have had injuries. We're not taking that away. We've spoken about a lot of them, but at one point, do we remember the shot of the Man City bench? And it was an entire starting 11. And, you had Alex Greenwood out for a long time. Jill Roord was out. Viv Miedemar was out. Bunny Shaw, Lauren Hemp. Like, the list went on. And you just think, that's not just a couple of, strong players. That's pretty much the spine of the squad. So, Paul, for you, this season for City, I mean, we can still see that, they did enough to get 4th. But if you're City, you feel like you should be further up there. But considering the season, was 4th the best they could do you think?
If you're City, you go, injuries screwed us over.
Yeah.
And that happens to teams. And we're lucky we're Man City and have a squad, because if that injury crisis, if that level of injury crisis had happened to Spurs or Villa or insert mid-table team here.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
finish fourth is still.
I mean,
not
at least Man City gave us the iconic moment, or certainly my iconic moment of the season. Buddy Shaw's celebration after the racial abuse she suffered, which he scored in the next game and did the Black Power salute and just literally silent fist in the air, and that was one of those moments where you just go, "Go on, buddy!"
Yeah,
like,
and that's why we voted it our iconic moment of the season, didn't we? On our end of season awards.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what team you support. That's one of those moments that should bring fans together, and if it doesn't, you kind of have to ask yourself why.
Yeah, and for those people asking, they're the people a gesture was for ultimately. But yeah, the fact, the power behind that was so incredible. And if Danny was here, he'd be talking about it, wouldn't he? Because he that moment for him, more than any of us, he was the first one on it, wasn't he? And he was like, that was such a beautiful moment. And you had, Kirsten Kasperer, what she did with the wristband of the trans colours as well. And it just feels like that team, they've had so much go on. They're so tight knit, and they're players that want to take a stand and they want to speak out, and they're not happy to just, be silent on social media and not speak out. And you've got this feeling of the club that, yes, they've gone through a bit of a rough patch, but even like their contract signing announcements are like personalized to them. It's not just your average picture in front of the badge, all paused and whatever. And you just think there's something really special there.
You do get the feeling as well that Man City is one of the clubs where, because with football being as it is, and you get the feeling with women's football as well, even allowing for the fact women's football perhaps allows for more activism, it's still very sanitized.
Yeah.
I don't, and this is not a knock on them as people. I'm making that quite clear. This is a knock on the corporateness of it. I don't think you'd have seen an Arsenal player do what Kirsten Kasperer did, because of the possible worries of the reaction and the brand and annoying fan base and whatever else. Whereas, the Arsenal players are very corporatized, and that might be the Lionesses as well. And yes, they are active, and a lot of Robin Moy has done amazing things.
Yes,
and we need to highlight that, and we need to highlight some of the stuff Beth Mead has done, and we need to highlight, for example, Arsenal's campaign with a major, I can't remember which major detergent company it was, but the ones with, was it Persil?
Persil.
The ones with trying to normalise sportswomen and periods and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And take away the stigma from that.
They've done exceptional good, haven't they?
So there is good being done. But the point, I think there are some clubs, and Man City are one of them, where players are almost encouraged to be activists. Like they can go and do that without fear.
Yes.
You get the feeling with some clubs they might do that, and there might be a press person, collaring them on the column going, if you're going to do that, just warn us next time, because we need to have a strategy for that. Whereas Man City, it's just, Kirsten, you wanted to make a point. Fair play to you.
Yeah, let's almost lean into it and just make sure our players have got their own personality and their own moments.
And Man City support of Buddy Shaw as well.
Yes, because they came out straight away, didn't they, with a statement and said, this isn't tolerated. Our players, won't be putting up with this. And it's, I just, it's just not a season they're gonna want to remember. And they've announced that Joe Road has now left as well. Viv Miedema, it was announced she went to the Dutch camp, but she wasn't fit enough, so she's now left camp. So there's still some injury concerns there. Lauren Hemp has come back for England, so we know that she's going to be hopefully fit for the Euros and then fit for City returning next season. Bunny Shaw, hopefully, getting that fitness back. And if they can bring in a new manager, and we will talk about it in a minute, Paul, if they can get back to who we know they can be next season, I think again that top of the table fight is going to be closer than ever. Because who's the manager of City, Paul?
I've got an excuse for not replying, which is that Nancy has come up, and you probably heard her a little bit in the background. You can probably hear her now.
She has thoughts about City.
She has thoughts.
Yeah.
She knows who the manager is.
She knows United's next. That's what.
And hold on, if I listen carefully, Nick Cushing. Thank you, Nancy.
Or is he? Of course, he only stepped into the end of the season. But again, he knew the team, he knew the club, knew most of the players. And what we'll say about City, they always seem to encourage their youngsters to get minutes. So lots of academy graduates, lots of youngsters are in that starting 11. And again, you could argue injuries kind of forced it. But even when players were coming back, they still kept their position.
Gracie Pryor is
who I was thinking of. Yeah. And you've got Naomi Lizelle as well. And even Lauren Blinkilde-Brown is still technically that younger side of it.
Lily Murphy as well. She's started.
Yeah, absolutely. So, City are doing so many good things that really, had a bad season. Couldn't do anything about it injury wise. So hopefully they come back fighting.
And their bad season is 2/3 of the WSL would kill for as well. So.
If we could just swap, that'd be great. But yeah, it just again, will it be a big window? And hopefully again, are they, what manager are they going to bring in? Because there's only so many decent managers in women's football.
Phil Neville is who they're going to get.
Phil Neville can't be split 10 ways. Just imagine if Phil Neville just took over the WSL. It was the manager of every team.
Imagine
Neville.
Another press conference with Neville, and followed by more Neville. Neville. Say it 3 times, he appears in the mirror. But yes, so that was Man City, who finished 4th, just outside the Champions League positions, and Bunny Scorer being their top scorer, and also joint Golden Boot, as we saw in the quiz last week, with 12 goals. Right, up next. Did anyone have any standout players for City, by the way, who made an impact? I know we talked about a couple, but anyone else? Anyone wanted to mention?
Yui Hasegawa.
Hasegawa had to be Hasegawa. Kept the team going through all those injuries. Huge player.
Sorry, Chloe. Best defensive midfielder in the WSL.
It's all right. We've got the best goalkeeper in the WSL. You can take it.
Who've I got? No. But no, special mention to you, Hasegawa, absolutely, for what she did in the season. Now to the other side of Manchester, to Paul's favourite team. This is Manchester United. Manager there, Mark Skinner. Top goal scorer, Elizabeth Turland, 10 goals there. And you know what? United have constantly been building up to the point where they have qualified for Champions League football, finishing in 3rd, just behind Arsenal. And again, that was touch and go, wasn't it? Between who was going to be 2nd, who was going to be 3rd. And it was just in those final matches where Arsenal did clinch it. We can see by the record there, 7 wins at home, 6 away. Only drew a few, lost a few. So overall, they had a really, really impressive season. And, we're going to start with, standout players. Fallon Tullis-Joyce stepping into that keeper role. What a legend she is. Joint Golden Glove with Hannah Hampton, wasn't she, this season as well? Which again says everything. You got Myla Tissier, who Paul, you said earlier, she's played every minute of the WSL, and you think, give the pool girl a break. But impressive nonetheless. If I Gabby George coming back from injury, Millie Turner unfortunately now has an injury was it from the World Sevens, or did she go in injured? I think she might have done it when she was out there, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. But then we saw, players like Ella Toone was suddenly not being featured as much. And, there was a bit of a roller coaster about who was actually the key players of the starting lineup. But they did enough in the end. Chloe, if we come to you first, Man United for you, did you expect them to be in and fighting in the top spots this season? How was their season for you?
Not really. I mean, they're let's say as it is. Why not? No, to be fair, to be fair, they've been pushing the entire time for Champions League, haven't they? Like, their goal has always been to get Champions League. And to be honest, fair play to them. Like, they have tried, they've done it, they got it, and they've been also quite decent a lot of the time this season. They've had some Jade Riviera has been such a good player, and she's been key for them. I've also really enjoyed watching Grace Clinton play as well. Like, I think she's one of those young stars who has really proven herself. That little bit with Ella Toone was weird, like when she wasn't playing, but I think that was also around the time she lost her dad, so that's kind of had coincide with that. And
yeah, she was injured a little bit as well, wasn't she?
Yeah,
with that, yeah.
And so she has had a turbulent time, and I think she headbutted with Skinner a couple of times for those reasons. But they seem to have worked out now. They're friends again. But it's just one of those things, isn't it, where their season has also been up and down. We keep saying this a lot about the teams. They've had an up and down season, but it has been quite a weird season for them. And, good luck to them in Champions League, because they might need it.
And what a better segue, Paul. Now, you've been fairly outspoken about your thoughts this season, so please don't hold back now. We'll limit you to a couple of minutes, though. Because overall, we said, when Elizabeth Turlin went there, is it going to be the right move? Is she going to be played in the right position? What's going to happen? And we've mentioned before about, the league in general, there aren't enough goals scored, but even on 10, she's United's top scorer, but it's less than she scored last season for Brighton, isn't it? So for you, however biased you want to make it, did you expect this of United to finish third?
I think they've definitely built it on that defence. I mean, if you look at the stats, they only conceded 5 goals at home all season,
which is an incredible stat.
Which is insane. It's even more insane that one of those goals was scored by Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
as well. And 2 of them were scored. Over half of them were scored in one game by Manchester City. So
yeah,
I did not expect them to be where they are. I think they are where they are because of Fallon Tullis-Joyce having a season to the ages.
Yeah.
To the point where, and again, this is where I get really boring statty-wise. So, quick explanation of stats. There is a stat called expected goals, which basically uses statistical probability of every shot to work out how likely a goalie is to save it. And if it's more than 50% likely to be a goal, then it counts as, and eventually they average it all out and go, right, statistically, a team should have scored this number of goals in this game.
Mm.
And then and so they look at it and go, right, okay, then has the goalie, and the way you can tell if a goalie is good is if they're consistently positive, their stat is consistently positive, it means they've stopped statistically more than their average number of goals. Statistically, they have played better than an average goalkeeper would have, and therefore they have had a positive influence on their team. Fallon Tullis-Joyce over the season is responsible for conceding 6 less goals than an average WSL goalie would have done in that position.
Wow.
Now,
It's just mind-blowing, isn't it?
Which is ridiculous when you consider, if you look at the goalie stats, and we might need to chop a little bit of this while I get to it, because I'm trying to bring up the goalkeeper stats and the player stats to confirm it, and it's fun navigating to. There we go. Basically, she is by far the best goalkeeper in the WSL.
No.
Statistically.
Did she make 92 saves?
And emotionally.
Statistically, she is the best goalkeeper in the WSL. And I will back that up by.
Did she make 92 saves all season though?
No, but she didn't need to make as any saves, but she does have the highest save percentage.
So there we go.
Oh,
83% of shots she faced, she saved. For comparison, Courtney Brosnan saved 77%.
Oh, it's close.
So it was pretty close.
But
if you move to the advanced goalkeeping, which is the fun sorts of plus minus and all that sorts of stuff, and you look at the stat with the really, really catchy name of post-shot expected goals minus goals allowed,
Nice.
which the short version, post-shot expected goals is how many shots are expected to beat an average goalie.
Okay.
And goals allowed is obviously the number of average goals allowed a game. If they are positive, then it means that goalies have stopped more than an average goalie would. Hannah Hampton stopped, title-winning goalie who was one of the Golden Glove winners, stopped over the season 2 goals more than she might have been expected to.
Okay.
Or on average, about 1 more goal every 10 games. Daphne van Domselaar was 4. Courtney Brosnan, 6.5.
Hey.
Fallon Tullis-Joyce, 7.
Wow.
Now, when you bear in mind that the ranges of goalies. Yeah, that was Kerry downstairs. That was very loud. When you bear in mind that the average range in the WSL, if you add them all up, obviously works out to roundabout even. Kiara Keating let in 1 goal more than she should have done over the season. Ayaka Yamashita only stopped 1 more goal than she should have. So to stop more than 7 goals over the expected average is once in a lifetime level performance.
It's incredible.
So for Courtney Brosnan to get that close is a legit argument that she is indeed, in fact, the best goalie in the WSL.
Yeah.
But
fact.
But again, this is the long way round here is to basically say Fallon Tullis-Joyce has had a statistically almost impossible season.
It is true.
Statistically almost impossible good season. When Hannah Hampton has only stopped a third of the amount of more of goals over average. That's what you're dealing with.
So impressive.
And so my point with that is statistically unsustainable. She will regress because that's how statistics work. And how will Man United deal with it when their goalie isn't a world beater?
Yeah, and it's a shame, isn't it? Because she's so good, and you don't want it to be a fluke because we know she's so good. We're not saying that, but if everyone else again is progressing, and hopefully her defense. The good thing about United is their defense has been solid as well, and you just think if that keeps working, it's going to be so incredible for them for where they move on to next.
But again,
statistically,
their defense has been playing out of its skin, and that is not a level humans can sustain statistically for longer than the season.
It's not sustainable, yeah. So, whether it's a question of tactics, whether it's a question of changes behind the scenes, and again, if we had United fans live in the chat, or we had a United fan with us, they could tell us all about it. So we will at some point. We'll get some insider knowledge. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward, because you're right, they can't keep up what they've been doing.
And I don't think they have the support from the ownership to keep it up either.
No,
as has been very publicly demonstrated.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
And again, you think United as a brand, as a team, as world famous, should be able to put in place the basics for their women's team. And more than that, they've proved they deserve more than that. So finishing third, so they'll be in the Champions League qualifiers next season. And you just think, what they could do with more support, more investment, and maybe a little reshuffle here and there. Who knows? But yeah, United. But yeah, Fallon Tulls-Joyce absolutely just blew everyone away this season with how incredible she was, and we'll have the stats to back it up, to prove it. Right then, we're on to our last two teams. So let's keep going. Moving on to Spurs then. Again, another team that just they didn't do as much as they should. And I've just realised that's a seventh. That is a lie, ladies and gentlemen. They did not finish seventh. They finished 11th, a bit different. 11th. And again, Spurs at the beginning of the season started, not too badly. And I think if we all saw the graphic that the WSL posted of all the teams, and you had, Brighton and Spurs right up there doing battle at the very beginning. The start of their season, they won 4-0 against Palace, and then they drew with Villa, lost just against Liverpool. Then let's have a look. Lost to United. But then it was so hit and miss. Got beat 5-2 by Chelsea, but won against West Ham, lost to City. And it was just a bit all over the place. Lost to Arsenal, of course. And it just, again, it didn't really click. And Robert Villaham, last season he had a plan, and he said, believe in the plan, trust the system. But kind of to finish just above the relegation spot, and I'm saying just above in terms of positions, because there was 10 points between them and Crystal Palace. But it's just, it wasn't a convincing performance, was it? Paul, we'll start with you this time. Spurs for you this season. I mean, you look at the stats there for wins and draws, and it's not good enough, is it? Considering some of the players that they do have.
It's not, and their main problem, as Spurs fans have said, as the Spurs Women blog, who I keep an eye on Twitter, are very, very good, have said, without Beth England's goals, they go down. Because she scored 8 goals, and then the next closest was Drew Spence with 3. Jess Nabs and Evelina Sumanen and Claire Hunt all had 2, and then it's a few players with 1 goal.
Yeah.
Conspicuously absent there, Martha Thomas.
Yes. who has just signed a new contract as well, which I don't think a lot of us were expecting. We thought maybe she'd move on, maybe something's not quite clicking, not quite working. But yeah, she's committed a future to Spurs. So, what do you think it's been this season, Paul? Has there just been that disconnect? Do you think between players and maybe management?
Yeah, they just haven't performed. I mean, their big summer signing didn't pan out. Hayley Rasso.
Yes, question
Yeah.
marks.
That was a soap
Question
opera in
marks over
itself.
that one. Yeah, because when we saw her, so impressive, added so much to the team.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just disappeared and no one spoke about it.
No one spoke about it, and she didn't even admit she was a Spurs player publicly.
No, she
her
took it
social media.
off of Instagram, didn't she?
Bio.
Nope. Everyone was on it. Everyone knew.
Which caused hashtag drama on Twitter.
The
The vibes were not the one.
The vibes were not vibing on that one.
Low key sus. There you go. I got one of them in there.
Yeah. But no, it's just a strange season. Yeah.
And I think we love Bobby Vills because he has spoken very well about his philosophies and his treatment of players. But is the environment right at Spurs? Is his project not vibing with the players? Is
it just not viable?
Is it just a bad year? Like,
yeah. Is it just a one-off? Yeah, they can't. You're right. They can't have another season like it, or they will be gone ultimately.
the irony of Spurs having the same problem in the men and women's teams of a manager who, on the surface, looks like there's so much positive about him, but they're having a decision about both of them this summer because there's talk of Ange Postecoglou supposedly being eased out the door and all sorts of stuff as well, even despite winning the pointless European Cup. So, yeah, Spurs have got one of those. It's interesting because at the start of the season, certainly we were talking about Brian Sorensen and Robert Villahammer in the same breath as two very similar, Scandinavian managers who both had the player first approach.
Yeah.
And one of them has really seen that approach bear fruit this season, and the other one's Robert Villahammer. And
yes, hasn't worked, has it? Hasn't worked.
Is it? Are they too nice there? Is he too nice to them? Do the Spurs players need a kick up the rear end? Is it?
Yeah, they need a bit more fire maybe under them to keep them going. Because we were talking, Chloe, weren't we, about people like Ellen Morris and they've got in Claire Hunt and all of these players that have got so much potential, but yet aren't fulfilling that for whatever reason. So has anyone stood out for you this season? Anyone who you really want to see more of?
To be honest, Charlie Grant, really want to see more of her. But Hayley Rasso, you're welcome back at Everton anytime. Did you see the video from the last Tilly's camp where it was like Claire Wheeler and Hayley Rasso walking out gossiping, and I'm like, is Claire trying to recruit? Like, are we recruiting Hayley back? I'll take her back any day. But no, Claire, Charlie Grant, I think she is a really good player, and she's still so young as well, and she's got so much potential. She's got so much about her, but she just doesn't get played at Spurs. It's a bit like Kyra Cooney-Cross, where she's so good, but she's not being played at Arsenal. So I don't know what Charlie has to do to get played, but she should be, because she's young, she's good, she's just incredible, and I just don't know what more she needs to do to get that spot.
No, 100%. And Paul, we've kind of spoke a lot about Evelina Sumnen and Artinen and even Mighty Aroth, before she was injured. And again, these underrated players who, really looking at the squad without them being, almost that central force, it could have actually gone a lot worse, couldn't it? So is anyone who either you want to take a moment to praise or who we should be looking out for maybe in the Spurs side?
Ella Morris has had an incredible year, and her getting an ACL is a tragedy.
It's devastating, isn't it?
Because she was really starting to get to where. Jess Naz is a weird one because
yes,
she keeps being one of those round the edge of the England squad, but she hasn't actually done a huge amount in terms of statistically for Spurs. She had 3 goal contributions all season.
Yeah, 22 matches, 2 goals, 1 assist, and you think, for other players who we mentioned, like your Nikita Parises, like your Beth Englands, you've got all of these shouts for these people to come back into the England squad, and you're right, Jess Naz is, she has been called up to camp recently, hasn't she? But if you're going on pure stats, it makes you question. Well,
you make you wonder, but she hasn't done enough. If are you really looking at the Euros and saying Jess Naz is the 3rd best right winger in England? 3rd best English right winger. Who you want behind Lauren Hemp or Chloe Kelly? Right? Really?
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to Jess Naz. That's just
no. But
Serena seeing that we're not?
Out. Yeah, like where's that decision coming from? Because other players were talked about who deserve a call up in our humble opinion, of course. But yeah, it'd be a good question to get answered, and it's hard because Spurs, where they ended up in 11th, we're going to say it again, they need to do something this summer, whether that is a new manager, whether it's new tactics, whether it's getting a different different backroom staff, maybe new ideas, but whatever it is at the minute just isn't quite clicking and isn't quite working.
They're relegation candidates next season, right?
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, 100%. No, they are.
And I think even Spurs fans would be looking over their shoulders, worrying about it.
Yeah,
because they haven't got any cause for optimism at the moment. Villa fans had that 5 wins on the belt on the end of the season.
Yeah, we did.
Leicester fans have got, at least going in towards the end of the season as being safe.
Yeah.
West Ham fans have got Shakira Martinez. We'll talk about her very shortly. But
we're her next. Yep.
Spurs have. What, Spurs. If you're looking forward, where's the positiveness for Spurs?
It's hard. It's hard to see. So yeah, watch this space. But at the moment, if nothing much gets done, I think it might be another rough ride for Spurs next season. So yeah, poor Spurs. Something needs to change. Something's got to give. Who finished in 11th place? They finished at 11th place with 20 points, and that says as well. Still got 20 points. But unfortunately, that was only enough to get them 11th. There was only 2 goals in it. Because Leicester also on 20 points, but just had 2 slightly. Well, no, they did. They had 2 goals. They had 2 more goals in their favour for that one. But yeah, there's not much between 5th and 11th at all, which is still absolutely mad. Right, we'll come to the end. Come so close. Thank you everyone for watching this far. We do know we've been talking quite a while, but hopefully it's all been worth it. Coming to the end, West Ham. Again, coming into this season, they hadn't finished the previous season that great. There was questions over Rhiannon Skinner about her tactics and her team management and contracts. There was a lot of controversy around that. However, this season, again, has been a bit of a roller coaster. We had some huge scores like the 7-1 over Crystal Palace. We've had some right ding dongs, especially with teams like Villa and Brighton. But also, we had our good stat, didn't we, Chloe? That they were the team that took points off United, Chelsea, City, and Liverpool. So for a team that we were all quite, I don't want to say concerned about, but certainly we kept an eye on them after last season. West Ham came into their own and they definitely built some momentum. So Chloe, come to you first for this one. West Ham in general, we've got their record there of their wins and losses this season. Definitely stronger at home, but for you, what kind of stood out about West Ham this season for you? Anything in particular?
I feel like, West Ham, again, doing what we've been speaking about throughout this entire episode, taking points off big teams, like just, again, proving that these small, they're not small, but small teams can do it. I've just been really impressed with, like, West Ham's mentality and, Rhian Skinner as well. Like, she's always been saying, like, oh, we've been doing this, we've been doing that, we're trying to keep positive and stay in that mindset. This game's been and gone, now on to next week. And I just feel like their mentality as a team has just been really good. They've got a great home record for wins, which is always good, shall we say.
Yes, good.
I don't know what I'm doing
Winning
anymore.
is good. Yes.
Winning is good. I don't know what I'm doing
Put that
anymore.
a t-shirt. Winning is good.
Oh, we'll put it on this series. Well, there's a series as well.
We just
No,
need a
it's
load of
good.
Instagram style slides of like quotes. Winning is good. Chloe Reynolds 2025.
Live, laugh, lesbian is another one I'm going to add. Just no, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I've been really impressed with Katrina Gorry. I think she has.
Yes.
Thanks. I think she's.
She captained my fantasy team pretty much every week when she wasn't injured. Yeah.
When she wasn't injured, she's been exceptional. Really, really enjoy watching her play and really enjoy watching her get into some of those like physical battles as well.
Yeah.
Like she's so scrappy and I love it. I'm aware this isn't rugby, but she acts like it is half the time. And I love those little scraps. They just make it so entertaining. And
yeah, she's not afraid to put a tackle in, is she?
Nope. And I'm surprised she didn't
what
get
you
more
need.
yellow.
It's what we want. Yeah.
What we want. It's what as a society we deserve.
As a women's football community.
We want more scrap. Make it happen.
Is that one of the new slogans that's come out?
Hashtag make it happen.
Hashtag make it happen.
Make it happen. Oh yeah, do it for the transfer window. And we see rumours. Make it happen.
Yeah.
New French keeper to Everton. Make it happen.
Oh, Chloe, you can tell we're all delirious by this point. By the end of this pod, and Paul, kind of to round up, there's been some incredible signings. That again, we had some concerns over. A lot of players were let go in the summer. How were West Ham going to rebuild? But we need to talk about some of their players, don't we? And we'll start with top goal scorer with 10 goals, Shakira Martinez. Kind of talk us through just what an impact she had, because of course she wasn't actually playing in the WSL at the beginning of the season, was she?
She wasn't. She was on loan to Frankfurt in the Frauen Bundesliga, which is always fun to say. And then was recalled in January and scored 10 goals in 12 games, which is frankly ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a goal every 80 minutes. So she's... And here are some stats for her in the Women's Super League. Okay,
go on.
So in non-penalty goals per 90, she is in the 94th percentile, which means only 6% of her fellow WSL forwards are better than her. So basically 2 or 3, maybe, if that.
Yeah. Wow.
She assists we won't talk about because she hasn't got any. But the one that I found really interesting is that in terms of successful take-ons where she's taken on and beaten an opposition player, she is up in the top 5%.
Wow.
As a line leading striker. That's
that's incredible, yeah.
That's you compare that to players like Lauren Hemp. You expect it from wingers like Lauren Hemp, Chloe Kelly, Mariana Cadenti, Caitlin Ford. But for a number 9, which is basically what Shakira Martinez is, to be that active in taking players on and beating them and running with the ball at her feet is pretty impressive, to say the least.
Yes.
And if I'm Rianne Skinner and I can find a way to get Shakira Martinez and Viviana Say in the same strike force,
yes,
or even a front 3 with Rico Wecki,
that'll be good.
That is where you start looking at. That's where you start looking at as opposition players. You start looking at it and going, "We've got a triple threat there. We've got 3 very dangerous players."
Yeah, this is the WSL triple espresso. This is what this is.
And of course, there is the point that they're all non-white players as well, which is really, really cool for representation and stuff.
Yes,
but I think that West Ham next season have to build from the front. And they have to look at that front 3 and go, right, we've got to get the support structure in for them. We've got to get the players to feed them. They're going to get Danny Brinjo's Tatir is coming back after being on maternity leave. So that will be a big return. You've got Savannah Pubel, who's been an interested, underrated player. Obviously, Kat Gorry as well is another player to keep an eye on. But for me, they just need like a proper. If they could nick Annabelle Blanchard from Crystal Palace behind that front 3.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah.
So you've got Katrina Gorry and Danny Brinjot here as kind of the box-to-box players. And then Annabelle Blanchard feeding a front 3 of Viviana Say, Shakira Martinez, and Rico Wecki.
Yeah. Rianne, when you're watching this pod, if we could just get like a little credit in there
just when your team are the top scorers next season, if you could just
remember.
Well, I got the idea in June. Watching a little known
podcast. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's all about, how do you make these connections better? How do you link all of these players who individually are very, very good? Tiziak's had a great season as well. She scored a brace. Her and Martinez were the scorers one match I was looking at earlier. And, so there's goal scoring opportunities from a lot of players in that West Ham side. It's just about, now they've solidified, right, this is what we can do is, right, well, how do we take that to the next step? And, we've said that about a lot of teams during this episode. They've either unlocked something this season and need that next step, or they've hit their limits of where that team can get them. So how do they move forward in this window? But yeah, for anyone who doubted Rianne Skinner, she's certainly showed them, hasn't she? By the end of this season,
I like the look of Verena Hanshaw as well as a wing back, Austrian wing back. She'll be one of those players who people will keep an eye on perhaps this summer.
Yeah,
at the Euro. And Serena Pubel as well, of course, who's playing for Switzerland. So
it must have been the last Euros, because I remember thinking, "Oh, she's good for Switzerland," and then suddenly West Ham signed her, and I was like, "Maybe I know some things." But yeah, no, it is. It's such a great opportunity to see these, different players who we don't get to see if you can't access the Bundesliga, if you can't access, the French league, and you just, it opens up to a whole new world, and scouts will be doing exactly the same
And
thing.
also, don't forget Christy Mewis to come back into that midfield, potentially.
Potentially.
Well, if she wishes to come back to play.
Exactly. And if she does, of course, she never really got going for West Ham, did she? Before injury and then, of course, pregnancy. The greatest reason to not play football. So yeah, it would be, if she does then come back into this side, again, so much more to bring, because we haven't seen what she's capable of doing.
You said she never really got started at West Ham. She had a great moment with the corner flag.
That was the thing. She turned up, she battled against the corner flag, she left.
If she'd only got the win behind her.
Yeah.
She never got a following win.
It's incredible.
Oh, that moment is going to live forever, and it's going to be incredible. How are we ever going to beat it?
We cannot.
We can't. We
will never beat it.
So to wrap up then, so that was West Ham, who finished in 9th place on 23 points, just 1 point behind Everton in 8th place. So again, how tight and congested that mid area is. And here we are at the end of our WSL recap episode. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched, listened. Hopefully you've put all your comments in the chat. And if we've missed a key moment or a key player that is vital to your team, please do put it in the chat. We will be reading all of them, and we just hope that you have enjoyed this episode. Like we mentioned earlier, we will have a championship review show as well, and we're also going to be having a Euros preview show before we go live. We'll be back for live watch-alongs for the Euros this summer as well. Now, normally we are debuting this, premiering it on a Wednesday night. However, if you are new to us, you can find us Monday to Thursday at the following. So if you like your non-league football, you can find that on a Monday. Premier League show is on a Tuesday. Our women's football show every Wednesday at 8:30, and Thursday is lower league as well. So you can catch us on the following. Make sure you have liked, subscribed. If you want to become a member, please do. We've got some exclusive content coming soon as well. So that's Twitter at Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube at Absolute Football Podcast, and the same on Twitch. TikTok, Absolute Football Pod, Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast with an underscore, Blue Sky at Absolute Football, and Facebook, the Absolute Football Podcast as well. Now, we know we've taken up a lot of your evening, but we can never do it without everyone who interacts with us. So we hope you enjoyed it. Chloe, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Where can people find more of you, please? If you like.
So you can find me, if you want to, no pressure, on all
No
stress. This, if you want to find more of me, I'm at Chloe Bear 529 on all socials, or if you want to know what I get up to at the weekends, I've got a little journalism account that I set up called Chloe Talk Sports, or balls.
Balls, as it should be. I love that you're just like, what I get up to at the weekends. I was like, oh.
I'm a busy girl, what can I say? No! Oh, God.
Can we leave this in?
Yeah.
I give up.
Chloe's secret drag queen persona that comes out at the weekend.
Wow, intensifies.
She's called Testicle.
I love that you thought about it.
This shows how much Drag Race I watch. It's quite bad.
Fantastic.
I'm
Absolutely
obsessed.
fantastic. And Paul, on that note, where can people find you and your drag persona?
Oh.
I'm desperately trying to think of a drag queen name for the next one. You can find me at Paul W Radio on Twitter, or if you add the little Blue Sky thing on there, although I don't update that much. And you can definitely find me here most Wednesdays, trying not to derail the podcast with jokes like Chloe's.
It's 20 to 12. I've been working all day. It's late. It's past my bedtime.
As she says at weekends, it's hard.
Okay, that's getting cut out.
There we go. Yeah, we'll leave that one out.
In there, as she says on weekends, I'll just clip out what you said and then just leave it.
And then just leave it. Just yours and Chloe's disgusted reactions. Just like
I work as a sports journalist, guys. I'm not that bad. I go to work.
I do have to go because my Duolingo bird is shouting at me. If you want to find more of me, I'm at T4AT across more socials. Are at the whole 115 yards, where I've got my journalism of what I do on the weekends. Thank you so much, everyone, once again for watching, for listening, for commenting, getting involved, and we'll be back very soon on a Wednesday evening live. So thank you, good evening, and good night.